Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com. On Wednesday, a Calhoun County jury sentenced Blake Downs following a guilty verdict. We learned the jury's recommendation. And a community in Hawaii is marking 1 year since a fire claimed over 100 lives and displaced thousands of residents. Plus, a family is suing OceanGate for wrongful death following the submersible's implosion last year.
And we got lots and lots more sunshine to come, and some of us are still going to be in the hundreds for today and tomorrow, and even into the weekend. We're going to take a look at who gets the hundreds, and we're also going to take a look at the tropics. All that coming up in the weather.
Today we highlight Refugio football for our Class 2A Division I preview. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning and happy Thursday, Crossroads. Hope you're having a great start to your day. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the forecast.
Yes, Carolina, we got a lot more hot and sunny weather coming our way, folks. I hope y'all are getting used to it because it's summertime and we've got more hundreds to deal with. We're going to take a look at that in just a second, because right now, if you're tuning in with us this morning, you're looking live in Victoria, and look at those pretty colors out there as that sun is starting to slowly come up. And if you're going to go see that sunrise, not too bad of a time to do it. It's still plenty warm and humid out there, sitting at 76 degrees, but the humidity is 97% because your dew point is 1 degree off the temperature, bringing you, this computer says, a 7-mile visibility, and that kind of boils down to just some really thin light fog out there. So nothing to really worry about in the fog department this morning. But look at your future clouds and your radar for today. It's going to be another pretty sunny day today. If anything, there's going to be lots of sunshine with maybe a few clouds, kind of like yesterday, maybe a few clouds developing somewhere in the afternoon time. But otherwise, I've got rain chances today and tomorrow, both at 0%. Just like yesterday, if you do see rain today, you would have to be very lucky and maybe send me a picture. I'd love to see that rain if you do see it today. But otherwise, lots of sunshine expected. That's going to bring us up to about, I'm thinking, 99 here in Victoria. Yesterday, we actually reached 100 degrees here in the city for a few moments. But northwestern counties today, y'all might see 101, maybe even 102. So please be careful in that heat. And why I don't think we're going to hit 100 today is because our wind speeds are actually going to be just about 3 or 4 miles an hour. Only 3 or 4 miles an hour stronger than yesterday, which is enough to drop us down a degree or two. But heat of the seas is still going to feel plenty hot, as high as 108, 109, 110 for some today. So please be careful in that heat. It's going to continue just like that into this weekend and also some into next week as well. But coming up later, we're going to take a look at what the tropics are doing next week. For now, back to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. Overnight, a powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit southern Japan and a tsunami advisory has been issued. The tremor occurred off the coast of the Miyazaki Prefecture at 2:42 a.m. Central Time at a depth of about 18 miles. The agency also reports tsunami waves of 1.6 feet along the southern parts of Kyushu. Half an hour after the quake, residents are urged to stay away from the coast. On Wednesday, a Calhoun County jury sentenced Blake Downs to 30 years in prison for the murder of 19-year-old Cohen Berm on April 9th of 2022. Berm was shot at Downs' home on Holloman Road in Port Lavaca. The shooting happened in an outbuilding or garage area. One family member was inside the home asleep at the time of the fatal shooting. Downs will become eligible for parole after serving 15 years of his 30-year sentence. The City of Victoria is in stage 1 of their drought contingency plan. The city says the stage does not come with any restrictions, but they encourage residents to be mindful and voluntarily conserve water. They offer a few tips on water conservation. The city recommends not overwatering your lawn, avoiding evaporation, and recommending to water your lawn early in the morning or late in the evening, and to water slowly and to never water on windy days. Taylor Swift has canceled her weekend concerts in Vienna, Austria after a suspected planned terrorist attack was foiled that potentially targeted her shows. Swift's concert was scheduled at Ernst Happel Stadium in Vienna on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the international leg of her Eras tour. Federal and state police in Austria arrested 2 men on Wednesday in connection with the alleged terror plot. Investigators say the men, who had become radicalized online, were planning to attack major events in Vienna and potentially the Taylor Swift concerts. Today marks 1 year since the historic fire disaster on Maui. The Hawaiian island left devastated, more than 100 lives lost and thousands of people displaced. But 1 year later, we see hope and resilience.
1 year ago today, the town of Lahaina on Maui was nearly burned off the map.
I immediately knew that morning something was off, just the way the wind blew.
Left behind were barren landscapes of charred debris. At least 102 people were killed. 12,000 were forced from their homes. Today, the community says it is committed to rising from the ashes.
The first year was about survival. The second year will be about rebuilding.
Hawaii's governor yesterday toured a newly completed temporary housing project.
A lot of housing is going to be going up in the next, say, month to 3 years.
83-year-old Tom Liu lost everything in the fire. His neighbors rallied around him, providing housing and support. And now he is rebuilding what was his dream home.
I tell people that I actually lived in the aloha spirit. You know, everybody hears about aloha spirit. You know, it's just saying, oh yeah, aloha spirit. But I experienced it.
Officials say only a small fraction of the 4,000 displaced households are still staying in hotels. 2 major investigations into the fire and the government's response are still not complete. But days ago, a settlement was reached for the victims. The defendants, including the state, the county, and Hawaiian Electric, agreed to pay $4 billion to settle claims related to the fire. As the community heals, so does nature.
We will be cutting out some more of the tree, but it's doing okay.
This 151-year-old banyan tree, scorched in the fire, is coming back to life.
And the tree's looking really well. Have big, beautiful leaves on it. Matter of fact, it has fruit. It's fruiting. Which is great. It has giant seeds all over it.
Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. We want to know, do you agree with the Lahaina fire settlement? Okay, let's take a look. 29% of you say yes, and 71% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. Tropical Storm Debbie is moving at a slow crawl, causing flooding in some parts of Florida. In Jacksonville, several roads were closed due to flooding from Debbie. A flash flood warning was issued for the area on Monday. The storm uprooted trees and knocked out power in the area, forcing residents to evacuate their homes. The family of a French explorer who died in a submersible implosion is seeking more than $50 million in a wrongful death lawsuit. Paul-Henri Nargeolet is among the 5 people who died when the Titan submersible imploded during a voyage to the wreckage site of the Titanic in June 2023. Attorneys for Nargeolet's estate said in an emailed statement that the doomed submersible had a troubled history and that OceanGate failed to disclose key facts about the vessel and its durability. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time is now. Let's get a look at our clock up here. It is just about 6:38 on our Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. A local mayor declared August 7th Purple Heart Day. We learn more after the break.
I'm ABC's Perry Russum in Washington. Senator J.D. Vance is now questioning the military career of Governor Tim Walz as the race for the White House heats up. That story coming up.
And also coming up next after the break, we're going to take a look at your weather and health forecast, followed by your marine forecast. And later on Sunrise, we're also going to take a look at where all the heat is coming from, and we're also going to look at those busy tropics. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, you look alive in Cuero, another warm and humid one, bright up and early in the morning, sitting at 76 degrees right now, though. Dew point matching the temperature, bringing humidity to 97%, basically 100%. So please be careful with that level of humidity. You're pretty much guaranteed to see some form of fog out there. But the good news is I think it's just going to be thin. So nothing really to worry about this morning. But looking at your forecast for today, it's going to be another real hot one today, getting to about, I'm thinking 99 here in Victoria. But some of us, especially up in the northwestern counties, y'all can see 101 or 102 today. But it's going to be still feeling plenty hot, as high as 110 for some. So please be careful if you're working out there in that heat today. But good news is that pollen is going to be nice and low today. Air quality is going to be moderate today. That's not too bad. And your UV index, that's going to be extreme. So if you have some sensitive skin, maybe make sure to put on some sunscreen for today. But if you're going down to the beach or down to the Gulf today, not too bad of a day. Smooth waves out there with your winds 5 to 10 knots out of the southeast, and your water still very warm at 95 degrees. Go hop in that water. It's like a sauna. But and the air temperature is going to still be plenty warm going to this weekend, and we're going to take a look at that and the busy tropics coming up next. And now here's sports with Max.
So 2 days ago, we covered one Class 2A Division I team in Ganado Indians. But now we turn our attention to the West, where the preseason #2 team in the Refugio Bobcats. Refugio last season went 12-2 overall and 6-0 in district play. And some of the three notable wins they had were the team we just mentioned, right? Ganado, they won 30-7 one time, but then they lost to them in the playoffs. But Refugio expect to have another great season under head coach Jason Herring, and some big-time players for the Bobcats last season you can't sleep on is quarterback Keelan Brown, wide receiver Jaden Lewis, and wide receiver and running back Ray Lewis, not the Ravens' best linebacker, everybody, as the wide receiver on the offensive end. But Refugio does bring also some big players on the defensive side with defensive back Glenn Gideons, junior Tadden Perez, and junior John Utley. And also other players as well that make a big difference for the Bobcats defense and look to probably compete with Ganado in the top of the rankings going to the playoffs. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
Thank you, Max. Experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. Stream our daily newscast and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Search Crossroads Today Plus. The race for the White House in full swing as both campaigns are battling for votes in the Midwest. Vice President Kamala Harris and the man looking to take her job, Senator J.D. Vance, even at the same airport at the same time.
This morning, a swing state blitz in the Midwest. Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz in Michigan with their largest rally of the race so far.
Do we believe in the promise of America?
President Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, who served in the Marine Corps, now questioning Walz's military record after he said this about gun restrictions.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Walz served in the Army National Guard for 24 years and acknowledges he did not see active combat.
I think the evidence at this point is overwhelming that he lied about serving in a combat zone.
Walz retired from the National Guard in 2005, 2 months before his unit was deployed to Iraq. He then ran for Congress, where he was a vocal critic of the Bush administration's war policies. The Harris campaign saying Governor Walz would never insult or undermine any American service to this country. During the primary in Michigan, President Biden faced a wave of uncommitted votes for his response to the war in Gaza. Leaders of that movement tell ABC News they briefly spoke with Harris yesterday, saying they want her to consider a weapons embargo on Israel. The Harris campaign says the vice president has prioritized engaging with Arab, Muslim, and Palestinian community members about the war in Gaza, adding she will always work to ensure Israel is able to defend itself. Harris facing pro-Palestinian protesters at her rally in Michigan.
You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Former President Trump says a new debate with Harris will be announced soon, but he did not say more than that. It comes after Trump backed out of a debate in September on ABC. Perry Russom, ABC News, Washington.
Here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. The season ends for the Sand Crabs and law enforcement makes 14 weekly arrests. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. Wednesday recognized Purple Heart Day, a day to remember and recognize those that were wounded in action or made the ultimate sacrifice to keep our country free. Veterans, family, and friends gathered Wednesday evening inside the VFW Hall in Port Lavaca to recognize Purple Heart Day on a local level. Port Lavaca Mayor Jack Whitlow declared August 7th Purple Heart Day in Port Lavaca, and in addition, a representative from Michael Cloud's office, Mark Longoria, also presented a declaration of Purple Heart Day signed by the congressman. Many in attendance say Purple Heart Award recipients need this kind of recognition.
It is a wonderful event recognizing our soldiers, men and women that were wounded in the war, and we do not want to forget our soldiers.
Yes, and I think that's a pretty big deal. A lot of veterans kind of go unnoticed, they go by the wayside, so this is a really good initiative, allowing the Purple Heart veterans to get that fair opportunity to be seen.
An estimated 1.8 million Purple Heart Awards have been awarded since 1782, with President George Washington presenting the first Purple Heart Award. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in the Queer Record. The overall property values in DeWitt County increased by 10% this year. And one of the top open professional rodeos in the state brings Lester Meyer to Cuero on August 9th and 10th. You can read these stories and more at the DeWittCountyToday.com. The world-famous San Diego Zoo Wild Park held a private event Wednesday that gave attendees a sneak preview of Yun Chan, a 5-year-old male with a long pointed nose, and Chin Bao, a 4-year-old female with big fluffy ears. The pair of Chinese giant pandas are the first to enter the U.S. in 21 years. Staff at the zoo say the pandas arrived from China in late June and are acclimating well to their new home in the private habitat. Giant pandas represent wildlife conservation, peace, and friendship. The exhibit opens to the public today. The time is now 6:46 on our Thursday morning. Still to come, stroke-related deaths rose during the pandemic. Learn what age group was impacted the most. Okay, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Hazel. Happy 3rd birthday, Hazel. We love you. Daddy, Mommy, and Bubba.
Oh, happy birthday, Hazel. And happy 40th birthday to Chad. Happy birthday from all of us, Chad.
And acclaimed Oscar-winning actor Dustin Hoffman is 87 today.
Oh, happy birthday, Dustin. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com, click on the drop-down menu, then hit the home tab, and you'll see Submit Your Birthday Photo.
All right, the time is now 6:47 on our Thursday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today.
That's right, happy birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. If you're tuning in with us this morning, I'm sure a lot of y'all are wondering what on earth is going on out there in the tropics. Well, I can tell you safely there's a lot going on. We're going to look at that in just a second. I'm going to actually start out with Debbie this morning, and I'm only going to spend a few seconds here on Debbie because, as you can see, Debbie's all the way out on the East Coast, all the way from us here in Texas. But Debbie is still a tropical storm. In fact, it actually made landfall again the second time in southeastern South Carolina coast not too long ago. It was actually about 2 hours ago when it made landfall, but it is still a tropical storm with winds sustained at 50 miles an hour. Pressure still at 995 millibars, but you can see with the forecast track over the next 2 to 3 days, it's going to continue all the way up there into the northeast coast. And look at all the rain that's still spinning around that, bringing them several more inches along their coast. But here in the Atlantic, look at what's going on. There are now 4 tropical waves out there, but I do bring some good news with that. There is some good news. The good news is that we can actually discount these 2 tropical waves right here because the western one is going to move into the Caribbean going into this weekend and early next week, and that's going to die off somewhere down here. Actually, it's going to start moving a little bit more south, maybe passing over Panama into the Pacific. And the eastern one, the right one that was in the middle there, you saw just a second ago, that is actually going to merge with this wave that just came off of the African coast yesterday. If you tuned in with us, you noticed that one that came off Africa, but that one actually the National Hurricane Center is watching for possible development as we go into next week. Right now they got chances at 10 to 20% though for the next 7 days, but if you look again, there is another one right over the Saharan dust. I don't know if depending on your screen size you can see that, and actually the Climate Prediction Center is watching that wave for the next 2 to 3 weeks for tropical development. They've got chances at 40 to 60%, so we're going to take a look at that and more later on Sunrise.
The rate of stroke deaths among middle-aged Americans was the highest in 2 decades during the pandemic. A new report from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention revealed. It shows the stroke death rate for people ages 45 to 64 grew 7% from 2012 to 2019. It spiked another 12% in 2020 and in 2021. Stroke deaths for this age group dipped slightly in 2022, but still significantly higher than before the pandemic. Experts warn middle age is an important time to manage risk factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. Financial aid forms are going to roll out late this year for many college students again. The 2025-26 free application for federal student aid will be released October 1st, but that's only for some students. For others, it will roll out over the next 2 months. It's supposed to be ready for everyone by December 1st. The Department of Education says this is so it can test changes that have been made to the form. It comes after a glitch-filled rollout of the form last December for the academic year just getting underway. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. Workers of an aircraft manufacturing giant say mistakes are hard to avoid when the work is being rushed. Workers at Boeing say they felt pressure to work too fast, and that led to mistakes. The National Transportation Safety Board is conducting a hearing to investigate the door plug blowout on an Alaska Airlines flight in January. Mechanics had removed the door plug to fix some rivets near it on the plane. One said they had no specific training to open or remove a door plug versus a regular door, so they just had to figure it out. Workers also said the workload at the Boeing factory is so great, there's no way to avoid mistakes. Federal prosecutors are accusing Hunter Biden of once agreeing to foreign lobbying. New court filings on Wednesday allege Hunter Biden agreed to lobby United States officials on behalf of a Romanian businessman. The latest accusations stem from special counsel David Weiss. He is prosecuting Hunter Biden for alleged tax evasion. Weiss claims Biden did reach out to government officials, even though prosecutors did not go into detail about those communications. Hunter's team denies those claims. Tropical storm Debbie has made a second U.S. landfall along the southern Carolina coast. The National Hurricane Center says the storm is beginning to weaken and speed up. Debbie is currently located just northeast of Charleston, moving northwest at 5 miles per hour. The center of the storm should move into North Carolina and Virginia Thursday evening. It will bring heavy rainfall to the northeast on Friday. What is left of Debbie should move out of New England by Saturday late morning. 2 astronauts may remain at the International Space Station until February 2025 as a result of issues encountered with the spaceship. NASA said it's still evaluating options for how to bring astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams back to Earth safely. Wilmore and Williams arrived at the space station on June 6th on the first crewed test flight of Boeing's Starliner capsule. The initial plan called for them to stay in space for about a week. However, the astronauts have been in space for more than 2 months. Mosquitoes are here, and the city is working to spray for mosquitoes across the city. The trucks began making their way through town last weekend, and they plan to finish their spraying this Saturday. The truck spraying happens in the early mornings and late evenings to avoid harming pollinators. If you live outside of the city limits, you can request spraying by contacting the Victoria County Public Health Department at 361-578-6281 extension 3400 or by going to vcphd.org to fill out an environmental complaint. The Victoria ISD Superintendent Search Community Survey is now open to the public. The district also invites community members to take part in public meetings to help select a new superintendent. A few have already taken place, and the last one is set for 6 p.m. on Monday, August 19th at Mission Valley Elementary. Data shows Rio Grande water shortage is not just due to Mexico's lack of water deliveries. Read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And we have time to look at that beautiful sunrise with Parker. Parker, how's it looking?
Well, Carolina, it's looking real sunny out there this morning. Look at the sunrise as it's coming up over Port Lavaca. But if you're going to go see that sunrise this morning, it's another warm and humid one out there. I don't know what's going on with my computer, but right along the immediate coast this morning, y'all are in the low 80s right now. But you're going to have another hot day today, getting up to about 96, I'm thinking, in Port Lavaca, with maybe a few clouds developing sometime in the late morning and in the early afternoon along the coast. But in Victoria, getting up to about 99 today. I don't think we're going to hit 100. We might, maybe, it's still possible, but also a few clouds in the afternoon time. And in Cuero, y'all might actually hit 100 today, with also some clouds in the afternoon as well. But if you think we're hot, look at the rest of the state. Hundreds all across the board. But coming away tomorrow is a cool front that is unfortunately going to stall somewhere in central Texas, bringing us maybe a slight north wind shift somewhere over the weekend. That's going to be cooling us down only 1 or 2 degrees into next week.
Wow, Parker, and hurricane season is still going.
Yes,
it looks
ramping up.
Looks like the next hurricane will be named Ernesto.
Ernesto, yeah.
Ernesto.
Well, yeah, we got a couple waves out there in the Atlantic we're going to be watching for the next few weeks, so
That's
please be
right.
ready.
And you can pick up a guide in Calhoun County. Have the rest of your Thursday.